How retirement spending changes over time, the three phases. One of the biggest surprises I discovered while studying retirement planning is that most retirees do not spend their money in a straight line. Before I retired, I assumed my expenses would remain fairly constant from year to year. I imagined creating a budget once, adjusting it occasionally for inflation, and following it for the next 30 years. Reality works very differently. Retirement spending tends to follow a pattern that researchers have observed for decades. Financial planners often refer to it as the retirement spending smile. Spending usually starts high during the early years, gradually declines throughout the middle years, then increases again later in life because of healthcare and long-term care expenses. Understanding this pattern can completely change the way I prepare for retirement. Instead of worrying that every year will cost exactly the same, I can build a financial plan that matches how life actually unfolds. The better I understand these spending phases, the more confident I become about enjoying retirement without constantly worrying about running out of money. Why retirement spending is rarely linear. Working life follows a fairly predictable routine. Income arrives every 2 weeks or once a month. Bills stay relatively stable. Vacations happen occasionally. Spending rises and falls, but not dramatically. Retirement changes everything, and freedom becomes the biggest variable. Suddenly, I have time to travel, visit family, remodel the kitchen, buy that fishing boat I've wanted for years, or take grandchildren to amusement parks. Many retirees also decide to relocate, renovate their homes, or finally pursue expensive hobbies they postponed for decades. These choices create what financial experts call the go-go years. Eventually, life slows down. Energy decreases. Travel becomes less frequent. Hobbies become simpler. Dining out loses some of its appeal. Spending naturally falls. Then another shift begins. Healthcare expenses gradually replace vacation expenses. Medical specialists become more common than airline reservations. Prescription medications replace camping gear. Home care may eventually replace golf memberships. Many people retire in their mid-60s while they remain healthy and energetic. This period often becomes the reward for decades of hard work. I call it the "I've finally got time" stage. Suddenly, every postponed dream looks possible. Many retirees purchase recreational vehicles, boats, motorcycles, vacation homes, or season tickets to sporting events. Others travel internationally, take cooking classes, learn photography, or spoil grandchildren. This increased activity naturally raises spending. Research from several retirement studies consistently shows that discretionary spending reaches its highest point during the early retirement years. Entertainment, travel, dining, hobbies, and home improvements often consume a larger share of the budget than expected. Ironically, many retirees become nervous when they see these larger expenses. They shouldn't panic. If the spending was planned, fits within their retirement strategy, and doesn't jeopardize future financial security, this stage represents exactly what retirement savings were intended to support. After all, nobody dreams about retiring just to sit in the living room and admire the thermostat. Travel often becomes the largest new expense. Travel deserves special attention because it surprises many retirees. Working adults squeeze vacations into 1 or 2 weeks each year. Retirees can travel whenever they want. That freedom often leads to longer trips and more frequent adventures. Visiting children and grandchildren across the country becomes easier. Many retirees spend more on travel during their first 10 years than they spent during the previous 20 years of working. That isn't necessarily irresponsible. Experiences often produce more lasting happiness than possessions, especially during retirement. Memories continue paying dividends long after souvenirs collect dust in the garage. Home expenses may rise before they fall. Many people assume retirement immediately reduces housing costs. Sometimes the opposite happens. Free time creates home improvement projects. One room gets painted, then another. Eventually, the bathroom receives a complete renovation because the old tiles look tired. Soon, the kitchen starts looking jealous. Many retirees also invest in aging-in-place improvements. Wider doorways, walk-in showers, better lighting, handrails, and first-floor living spaces make homes safer and more comfortable for the decades ahead. These projects require significant money, but they often delay or eliminate the need for expensive assisted living later. Viewed that way, they become investments rather than expenses. Phase 2, the slow-go years. Around the mid-70s, retirement often enters a quieter stage. Health usually remains reasonably good, but energy begins to decline. Driving long distances becomes less enjoyable. International flights lose some of their appeal. Sleeping in my own bed suddenly sounds much better than sleeping in a hotel. Many retirees naturally spend less without making any conscious effort. Restaurant meals become less frequent. Clothing purchases decrease. Expensive hobbies become simpler. Daily life becomes more home-centered. Researchers consistently find that inflation-adjusted spending often declines during these years. This reduction occurs naturally because lifestyles become less physically demanding. Many retirees initially worry when they notice this change. I see it differently. Preferences evolve. The excitement of climbing mountains may gradually give way to the simple pleasure of sitting on the porch with a cup of coffee while watching birds argue over the bird feeder. Oddly enough, the birds almost always seem convinced they're winning. The joy of simplicity. One unexpected lesson many retirees share is that happiness often becomes less expensive. During working years, entertainment frequently revolves around spending money. Retirement opens new possibilities. Walking through a park costs very little. Reading books from the library remains almost free. Gardening provides exercise, relaxation, and tomatoes that somehow taste better simply because I grew them. Many retirees discover they don't miss buying as much as they expected. Instead, they enjoy having more time. Time becomes retirement's most valuable asset. Healthcare begins to occupy a larger share of the budget. While discretionary expenses often decline, healthcare spending usually moves in the opposite direction. Annual checkups become more frequent. Specialists enter the picture. Prescription medications gradually increase. Dental work, hearing aids, vision care, and physical therapy become more common. Even retirees with excellent insurance should expect healthcare costs to consume a growing percentage of their annual budget. Planning for these expenses reduces future stress. Ignoring them almost guarantees unpleasant surprises. Phase 3, the no-go years eventually. Many retirees enter what financial planners sometimes call the no-go years. Although the name sounds discouraging, it simply reflects changing physical abilities. Travel becomes difficult. Driving may no longer be safe. Mobility decreases. Many retirees spend most of their time at home. Interestingly, discretionary spending often reaches its lowest point during this phase. Restaurant meals decline. Vacation expenses nearly disappear. Entertainment becomes inexpensive. shopping decreases substantially. Unfortunately, another category begins growing rapidly: healthcare. Long-term care can change everything. Long-term care represents one of retirement's largest financial risks. Not everyone will require nursing care. Many people will. Others may need home health aides, assisted living, memory care, or specialized medical services. These expenses can easily exceed several $1,000s each month. Some facilities cost substantially more. Preparing for this possibility deserves serious attention long before it becomes necessary. Planning ahead gives me choices. Waiting until a health crisis develops often eliminates them. Inflation never takes a vacation. One constant follows retirees through every spending phase: inflation. Even modest inflation gradually erodes purchasing power over 20 or 30 years. A gallon of milk today probably won't cost the same 20 years from now. Neither will property taxes, utilities, insurance premiums, or healthcare. This reality explains why retirement income should include investments capable of producing long-term growth. Keeping every dollar in cash may feel safe. Unfortunately, inflation quietly steals purchasing power year after year. Spending less doesn't mean living less. One misconception deserves correcting. Lower spending during retirement's middle years doesn't automatically mean lower happiness. Quite the opposite. Many retirees report becoming more satisfied despite spending less money. Relationships deepen, daily routines become comfortable. Stress declines, financial confidence grows. Simple pleasures replace expensive entertainment. Contentment often costs surprisingly little. That realization may become one of retirement's greatest gifts. How I can build a retirement budget that evolves rather than creating one fixed retirement budget, I prefer thinking in stages. Early retirement deserves flexibility because experiences matter. Middle retirement benefits from reviewing spending patterns every year rather than assuming previous habits continue indefinitely. Life changes. My budget should change with it. Others spend aggressively during the first decade without considering future healthcare needs. Many underestimate inflation. Quite a few ignore home maintenance until expensive emergencies appear. Some forget to replace aging vehicles or major appliances in long-term projections. What research continues to show, study after study reaches similar conclusions. Retirement spending generally follows predictable stages. Early retirement emphasizes experiences. Middle retirement becomes more moderate. Late retirement shifts toward healthcare. Understanding these patterns allows retirees to make smarter withdrawal decisions, avoid unnecessary anxiety, and spend confidently during the years when they can enjoy their freedom the most. The biggest lesson may be surprisingly simple. Retirement isn't one long season. It's several different chapters. Each chapter has its own priorities, opportunities, and financial challenges. Final thoughts on spending patterns. When I first imagined retirement, I pictured one long vacation with a single monthly budget that never changed. Life had other ideas. Eventually, my spending would change as well. Recognizing these natural transitions helps remove much of the uncertainty surrounding retirement planning. Money should support the life I want to live. Understanding how retirement spending evolves allows me to use my savings with confidence instead of fear. Don't wait until it's too late. Get your financial house in order today. Like and subscribe to my channel if you like this video too.